talking of Elon Musk and this whole quest for a future fantastic. So the question is, why are we born as humans? That's what kind of agitates this mind, Elon Musk. And the concept that we are just tiny specks of life, a certain consciousness, he's aware of this thing in a seemingly indifferent cosmos, this huge universe around us. And it's all about dreams is what he says. It's just about dreams. Let's take the next slide. So this particular guy, Elon Musk, was born into a family of discoverers way back in 1971. His grandparents actually took a boat, a small boat, a skiff, which moved from Canada to South Africa. And then as a young family, they would go into the Kalahari Desert looking for lost civilizations. So it was a family that was all about discovery and hope and dreaming. Next. It's a young family. This gentle lady on the side is a person who brought up this family by herself. Her marriage broke up in 9 years, and she looked after these 3 children. The next one, please. So it is about becoming founders and becoming innovators and just thinking about how to create the future. Let's try and understand more about this family that grew, went back to the United States via Canada, and created a bit of history. This lady, she is a supermodel in her mid-70s. She's been a supermodel for the last 50 years. She's Elon Musk's mother, May Musk. And this is what she has to say, that I knew that Elon was a genius. He could reason with me. He could remember things, that anything that he read, it was something very special. The next is his brother, Kimball, who in his own right is disrupting things in this particular world, in the food industry in particular. He wants to make sure that everyone has access to real food. He thinks that his brother is a savant at business, but empathy is not his gift. He, together with Elon, actually founded zip2x.com and runs the kitchen group, Chipotle, if people have heard of it, and the Big Green, where he's trying to make every building in Brooklyn grow food. So he's a great guy in his own right. And then comes the sister, Tosca. She's a filmmaker and has focused on something called passion flicks. And she has the best thing to say about what actually makes this family great. We have an incredible mother who encouraged us to follow our dreams and find meaning in whatever we did. She told us to just go out there and solve a problem. So that's what then brings us to Elon Musk, who by the time he was 20, 21, had done a couple of ventures, made himself rich by the time he was 24, 25. And this was the bedrock of his future fantastic. He thought of energy, a problem, which he said could be cheap, abundant, sustainable. He feels that people will work in harmony with intelligent machines and even merge with them. He may even be sponsoring agelessness coming soon. And the biggest thing in his life was that, listen, humans will become interplanetary species so as to remove the inevitability of destruction. So it was about this whole thing about dreaming and thinking big. Next, please. So there are many things happening around him and what compete in this whole situation of thinking big. And one of which is a company called Rivian, which says forever starts now. And it's all about keeping the world adventurous and forever. These guys are going to make a great difference to anybody who's a courageous soul. You just watch out for these guys. They've already made their shareholders billionaires, I mean, multi-billionaires, without even putting one vehicle on the planet yet. Next one, please. There's another company called Ample, which says, let's get 1 billion electric vehicles on the road. Audacious. And then there's our very own Ola Electric, who wants to be the future of mobility for 1 billion people. Everyone thinking big and strong, purpose being out there. The vision is great. Let's move to the next one. But here is what Elon Musk did after he took over Tesla. He came in as an investor and he took it over. Tesla is not just about vehicles. It's about solar roofs and solar panels. It's about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. Just look at that picture on the left. That vehicle is being powered by the energy that the roof of that house is collecting during the day. So it's a beautiful, virtuous, concept that he's done. He solved a problem and made everybody very happy. Let's take the next one. Here is an absolutely amazing, statement. This organization says, let's make air and space available to everyone. Way back, they kind of had this amazing song by the Doors called Break On Through to the Other Side. That was what their ambition was. And they're actually out there. This is a picture taken by one of their assets. But who are they? Let's go to the next one. That's NASA. That picture taken by the Hubble telescope is by NASA. And they've got their purpose as well of having a permanent human presence in space. Let's quickly compare with what similar people do, like there's our ISRO. ISRO is focused on space technology for national development and access to space. They've got a different kind of vision and focus. And then you got this, your Roscosmos, which is focusing on, the ISS, the International Space Service, and satellites. They want to control things happening on Earth. And then the Chinese agency, which is very quietly says, yeah, we independently want to send humans into space and control the Earth through satellites. Now let's see what Elon says. He just says, I am going to make humanity multi-planetary. That's it. And he launched SpaceX. He's got this concept of the Falcon systems, which are the ones which have reflight capabilities. They don't create mess out there in the space out there. They don't leave debris. He's got the Falcon Heavy. He's got Dragon, and then he's got Starship. This image on the left is the Starship. It's basically taller. It's about 120 meters tall, and it's, as you can see, it's 3 times that of the Qutub Minar, just to get a sense, and about little less than half of the Eiffel Tower. This machine is going to colonize space. Let's take the next slide. People may remember this slide. It's basically about his mission that by 2050, he wants to have a permanent station on Mars and have an alternative to Earth. And so with that, let's go to the next slide. It's just about the dreams of future fantastic. All that he says is, I would like to die thinking that humanity has a bright future. And if we can solve sustainable energy and be well on our way to becoming a multi-planetary species and a self-sustaining civilization on another thing, perhaps to cope with the worst case scenario happening and extinguishing human consciousness, then I think that would be really good. This is the introduction to Elon Musk. Thank you for your time.
Adi, would you continue to present?
Yeah, 1 second.
Sure. Yeah, we can move on to the next slide, Aditya. Yeah, thank you, Sakit sir. Now that we know a little bit background about who's Elon Musk, let us dive deep into understanding his achievements. He's a man of action. He's known for taking sincere, relentless actions to bring his imagination to life. The next slide that showcases the companies he either found or he owns, except the Twitter part, that's a recent development. He currently owns 9% of the shares, and he has become officially the board of directors for Twitter, which has happened in the last week. In 1995, Musk co-founded a web software company by the name Zip2, which was later acquired by Compaq for US $307 million in 1999. In 1999, Musk went ahead to co-found bankx.com, which was merged with Confinity in 2000 to form PayPal. Company was bought by eBay in 2002 for US $1.5 billion. In 2002, Musk founded a space exploration technology company, which is traded as SpaceX, which mission is to make humanity a multi-planetary. It believes a fully and rapidly reusable rocket is a pivotal breakthrough needed to substantially reduce the cost of space access. While most rockets are designed to burn up on re-entry, SpaceX rockets can not only withstand re-entry, but can also successfully land back on Earth and refly again. After two failed attempts in 2007 and 2006 and 7, in 2008, Falcon 1 was successfully launched. It was the first private liquid fuel rocket to do so. There are totally 151 total launches, 113 re-landings, and 90 reflown rockets till date. It's the only private company capable of returning a spacecraft from low Earth orbit. Dragon spacecraft became the first commercial spacecraft to deliver cargo to and from the International Space Station. In 2020, SpaceX became the first private company to take humans to space. In 2004, Musk led the Series A round of investment for Tesla and became the board of directors, one of the board of directors. He invested about $6.5 million US. Between 2008 till 2020, Tesla launched several vehicles, including Roadster, Model S sedan, a crossover Model X, mass market sedan Model 3, to name a few. SolarCity. Musk founded this initial concept, and later on, SolarCity was acquired by Tesla Energy in 2013 for $2 billion. In 2015, Musk announced the creation of OpenAI, a non-profit AI research company aiming to develop artificial general intelligence. However, he left the board because to avoid possible future conflicts that might become as a role of CEO of Tesla, which has become increasingly involved in leading AI. In 2016, Musk co-founded Neuralink, a neurotechnology startup to integrate human brain with AI. He calls it Fitbit in your skull, that could possibly cure paralysis, deafness, blindness, and other disabilities. In 2013, he announced a plan for VacTrain, which is a vacuum train, a hyperloop. In 2016, he founded the Boring Company that is in the business of constructing tunnels. A tunnel beneath Las Vegas Convention Center was completed in 2021. So what is Elon Musk all about? He is an amalgamation of sheer intelligence and the change agent of 21st century. We dig deeper to understand his growth mantras. Next slide, please. So all he has created between 1992 till date are nothing but brands. So what are those growth mantras for his successes? Next slide, please. Number one, challenge the status quo. He often talks about first principles. What is it all about? It is to understand a subject, it is better to break down to its most fundamental principles. He uses this framework for deconstructing complex problems. Number two, lead with purpose. Next slide, please, Adi. Lead with purpose. So you might have seen Sukesh Lal projecting this screen that talks about he plans to build 1,000 Starship rockets over the next 10 years and carry 100 passengers per flight. Musk Foundation, which was launched in 2002, support research in renewable energy and human space exploration. It also announced 100 million worth prize money for carbon removal, which is still active and ongoing, which will be closed by Earth Day to 2025. Uncompromised commitment to build a better world, working towards solving problems associated with a larger purpose is a second growth mantra. Number three, the next slide, please. Perseverance and associated persuasiveness. A compelling vision, a comprehensive plan, relentless implementation, and talented people working towards making one's vision come true is possible only when the leader leads with perseverance and excels the art of persuasiveness, the art of making his vision a shared vision with his investors, shareholders, team, and public. Fourth one, Musk extensively uses social media to stay connected with public and even ask public opinion to sell his shares. These are some of the Twitter posts. You might have also seen the last Twitter post about, he has eventually become the board of directors for Twitter. He has had multiple cameos in public appearances in films such as Iron Man 2. Let us move back to the previous slide, Adi. He has also had multiple cameos in public appearances in films such as Iron Man 2, Men in Black International, The Big Bang Theory, Rick and Morty, Saturday Night Live, to name a few. He was also listed among Times Magazine's 100 most influential people in 2010, 2013, 2018, and 2021. In 2021, he was also selected as Times Person of the Year. Well, next slide, please. Tesla and SpaceX now have 5 leadership principles, completely inherited from Elon's growth mantras. With that said, let's go through these slides. So move fast. I'm so sorry. Are you able to hear me? Yeah. Yeah. Move fast, completely challenge the status quo, continue to innovate to sustain your competitive advantage. These are some of the leadership principles that are given to Tesla and SpaceX employees. They own whatever decision they take. There is complete empowerment for them to take decisions in the company. And we're all inclusive. We're all in one team. We build it together. These are some of the leadership principles that are imbibed in Tesla's and SpaceX companies. With that said, let me now hand it over to Aditya to cover what is in store for Elon and team for the future.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rani. Okay, so my endeavor over here is to give you a perspective of what the future would look like because Elon Musk existed during this piece of small cosmic time frame. Now, as you all know that, Elon is quite active on social media. He's a person who's very, very upfront, forthcoming, talks about, like how AI is potentially a very, very dangerous thing for humanity. That's why he built OpenAI, a non-profit organization to regulate artificial intelligence. He talks about how Tesla could be the most valuable company on earth, overtaking Apple. He also talks about, for an example, that by 2040 to 2060, AI could beat us at each and everything. Along with that, an estimate in terms of when the first humans are going to set foot on Mars. Now, I'm going to speak specifically around 3 industries and areas and the future that they will have on humanity going forward. I mean, if I had to cover the impact of Elon Musk, it would probably be an hour-long presentation. So I'm just going to restrict myself to 3 areas. So starting off with Tesla. So Sukesh sir kind of gave you a sense on, how Tesla's purpose is to accelerate sustainable practices. Now, going forward, like in the graph that you would see over here, you would get to realize by 2070, and only because of Elon's evangelism of sustainable practices and sustainable energy, we look at by 2070, carbon emission through automobiles will go down by 90%. That's a huge, huge number, and that's definitely a good way forward for humanity. Now, the rise of electric cars, by 2070, 80% of vehicles on road will be EVs, again, going towards a similar direction. Now, all of this could not be possible if there is not massive progress happening in terms of the battery technology out there. Now, there is massive progress in battery technology. Lithium-ion batteries will reach performance limits in terms of energy density, but then new technologies like sodium-ion will pick up. Also, the big fact that, battery cell densities have almost tripled since 2010. That's like just a 12-year framework. Now, imagine the kind of battery technologies that would be there in like the next decade or so. And we could there are actually planes today that can travel purely on battery technology, right? So if it's happening today, then imagine like over a period of the next decade or 2 decades, we would have commercial flights taking over fossil fuels. And the home of the future, like we'll have solar panels, they're already there, battery storage, we'll have a garden biomass converter creating energy inside the house, EVs, 3D printed exteriors, all of that. So this is pretty much, I would say it's pretty much the home of today because all these technologies exist today, but they will be much more commercially viable in the future. Now, aerospace. This is the next space that I'm going to talk about Elon Musk's impact in. Now, space tourism will be a planned vacation by 2070. Now, after Elon, so there's Virgin, there is Bezos, likes of Bezos who are kind of now in the same area, and there'll be more people coming there as well. So Kesar touched upon the Starship. I just want to kind of give you a big sense on, why this is pretty much a game changer in aviation and in aerospace technology. The first aspect in terms of it being a game changer is that it can land. The second is it will be able to refuel in space. Now that's a big, big, big deal. Because science fiction author Robert Heinlein once said that in an interview that if you can get your ship into orbit, you're halfway to anywhere. It turns out that roughly half of all the energy expended traveling to anywhere in the solar system, be it the moon, Mars, or even outer planets, is spent just getting into the orbit of Earth. So half of the energy expended is just taken to kind of get into orbit of Earth. The problem is that for every kilogram of payload you have, you also need the fuel to lift it into orbit. Eventually, the math works out to be that you need an absurdly large rocket to get anywhere at all. The exception to this is if you're able to refuel your rocket while in orbit already. Elon's idea of making Earth a multiplanetary species is very, very pertinent. This is kind of a view on, how Mars would probably look like in a century. But not just that, now I'm kind of going to go overboard in terms of what the future would happen because of Elon. So Elon talks about terraforming Mars, creating a new Earth-like planet out of Mars. And there are a few different schools of thought on how, or if we could heat up Mars' atmosphere and make it more hospitable to life. Elon has suggested, for example, that we could terraform Mars by exploding nuclear bombs over its polar caps. He says that the radiation wouldn't be an issue since the explosion would be in space over the poles, but the heat release would vaporize the frozen carbon dioxide to greenhouse form planet and melt the ice and melt the water ice. Nuking Mars raises a host of scientific, ethical, and legal questions, which is good that we are talking about them. And to truly terraform Mars, we need to fix its magnetic field. The answer lies anywhere between 50 to 100 million years, from 50 to 100 million years in terms of terraforming Mars. And this is how pretty much a terraformed Mars would look like in the future. It's not just the Mars, it's also the moon. And since the bigger goal is to make Earth a multiplanetary species. Now, why is that important? Now, we know it for a fact. I'll repeat, we know it for a fact that, the sun will become a red giant and Earth will dissolve and humanity, as we all know, will die someday in Earth. So for our species to survive, we have to be multiplanetary. And is there anybody else in the history of humanity who ever thought of doing something about it? And that's Elon. Now I'll kind of give you a sense on, if we kind of keep going in this path for millions, possibly billions of years, what would humanity look like and where would we be? So this is what we call the Kardashev's scale. Now, it's a method of measuring the civilization's level of technological advancement based on the amount of energy it is able to use. The measure was proposed by a Soviet astronomer, Nikolai Kardashev, in 1964. The scale regards energy consumption on a cosmic scale. Currently, we are a type 1 civilization, which is capable of controlling the entire energy of its planet. We are pretty much 70% there as per some of the research that is out there. It's inevitable over a period of time, we would be able to be 100% type 1 civilization where we would be able to control the entire energy of planet Earth. Type 2 would be capable of controlling the entire energy of sun as we know it. And then at the same time, we would be able to easily travel through the solar system. Now, what Elon is doing is pretty much leading our civilization towards a type 2 civilization. But what would this progress look like? Type 3 would be capable of controlling the energy at the scale of the entire host galaxy. Now, this gets into a little science fiction territory, but this is what the progress of civilizations over billions of years would look like. Type 4 would be capable of using energy at the scale of the universe, create galaxies, manipulate space-time. Type 5 would be capable of using energy at the scale of multiverses. And type 6 would be civilization that exists beyond time and space or in higher dimensions. Now, the only point I'm trying to make over here is, Elon is an explorer, a discoverer, and a dreamer. I'm pretty sure that what he's doing today is leading civilization to, hierarchical types of different civilizations that exist in the Kardashev scale. The third and the last area of impact that I'm going to talk about is artificial intelligence. Now, recently, very recently, Elon created a Tesla bot. It is a bot or a robot that is built by humans for humans. It's going to be friendly, eliminates dangerous and repetitive boring tasks. Now, if you look at the evolutionary substrate, we started off as a single cellular organization. Now, what would the future of, evolution in humanity look like? Because evolution is a constant, it's happening all the time. Now, 4,200 million years ago, life appeared on Earth in form of a single cell that's alive in the primordial soup of what Earth was back then. 200,000 years ago, the first Homo sapiens appeared. 340 years ago, the steam engine was invented. And 31 years ago, the first computer was built. Can you imagine the exponential progress in technology that's happening? It's just 31 years ago that the first computer was built. Now, over a period of time, artificial intelligence is going to get to a point, it's going to become sentient. It will have consciousness of its own. And then there is no stopping it. There is no controlling it. And as many people say that the day of singularity is very, very near. And that's why Elon is really, really afraid about the power of artificial intelligence and what it could mean for humanity, right? A sentient artificial intelligence could wipe out humanity in a jiffy. And that's where, Elon wants to kind of integrate artificial intelligence, digital, and humanity together in some way or the other, because the idea over here is cannot defeat them, join them. So Werner Winch popularized the concept of singularity, the point in time when machines become more intelligent than humans. Now, the director of engineering at Google has predicted that computers will achieve human-like intelligence by 2029 and achieve singularity in 2045. Which he says is when we will multiply our effective intelligence a billion-fold by merging with intelligence we have created. The progression from where we are now, deeply mired in the quicksand of mortality, to the arrival of singularity will be characterized by the number of discrete quantum leaps that will be necessary to take us from where we are today to where we will need to be. Now, if you understand the implication of singularity, right, there are things that we don't know, humanity doesn't know. For an example, we age. Let's bring a very weird idea to scale: how to be immortal. We are not capable of designing a program to read and understand the human genome, but singularity and a sentient AI would be able to do that. We are talking about humans becoming immortal over a period of time, and that happens because of the emergence of singularity and humans combining with them. This is what we call transhumanism and singularity, which is quite related. To some degree, we are already a cyborg. We use phones. They are pretty much a part of a human body. The application that you have, the fact that you can ask a question instantly and get an answer from Google and other things. As a society becomes increasingly automated by robots in AI systems, one of the ways forward for humanity will be to physically merge with machines. Now, the incredible world of transhumanism, so space colonization would be possible. We can upload a consciousness into the digital system. So that's another one way we could, achieve some sort of immortality. AI is coming in. There is mega scale engineering, building structures across Earth. Virtual reality, log into a virtual world. This is already happening with Meta, molecular manufacturing, autonomous self-replicating robots, cryonics, which will be preservation of human body as we travel across the cosmos, and cybernetics will be integrating humans with machines, as I already spoke about. So just lastly, I'm just going to leave with you with certain timelines in terms of our, understanding. By 2018, humans will fly into space by reusable rockets. This has already happened. 24, AI will start posing real threat to humanity. 2025, Tesla will be as valuable as Apple. 2025, humans will set foot on Mars. This was a prediction given some time back. 27, more than half of all new vehicles will be electric. 2033, solar will be the main source of power. 2037, cars will no longer have steering wheels in them. 2040, we will colonize Mars with a city. 2040, AI will completely surpass humans. And 2060, a million people will live on Mars. And that's what this human being has been able to kind of put humanity's course in. Every once in a while, throughout history, we come across a person who really knows how to formulate and ask very good questions, and also poses a burning desire to find answers to those questions. Usually, they keep asking extremely good questions, seek answers until they die. They discover, create, and or invent in the process to change the world. They look at things most people easily blow off or walk past. They see things others don't, then ask a stream of questions one after the other. Musk is all of the above, except he does more. For he not only asks great questions and comes up with great answers, but he takes it further and applies his knowledge gained to produce products and services that eventually benefit all of humanity directly or indirectly. In the process, he is revolutionizing the automobile industry, energy, and spaceflight, to name a few. All of them major undertakings in and of themselves. However, he is doing all of them at the same time. As a closing note, there are almost 3,000 billionaires in the world. What have they been doing in comparison to Musk? There is no doubt today that Elon Musk is the most important human being alive.